Didn't see you there. I'm Chet Manley, and tonight, man, do we have a podcast for you. We're going to have two special guests to talk about the state of our economy. This is a podcast for students and by students, and man, it's a good one today. We're going to talk about things like supply and demand, aggregate supply and demand. We're going to have our GDP, our real GDP, interest rates, inflation. Man, it's going to get wild up in here today, and I am just so stoked to teach you guys about our economy. Chet Manley, coming to you live from my bedroom. Seen a bit, America. Welcome, students, to the State of the Economy podcast. I am Chet Manley here in my bedroom, and we have with us Dr. Seymour Cox.
Please, Dr. Seymour Cox is my father. I'm Seymour Jr. Cox. Seymour Cox Jr.
I'm just going to call you Seymour, Doctor.
Okay.
Alright, now, when you wanted to come on the show, you said you want to talk about money, GDP, and the entire economy. Where do you want to start with that, Seymour?
Oh, well, let's start with supply and demand, Chet, because that's pretty much the basis of our economy. We need supply, and we have the demand. And no company does that better than our favorite, McDonald's.
Those golden arches of glory. Now, what's so special about McDonald's? What drives their supply? What drives their demand?
Well, you see, McDonald's has such a low opportunity cost for production with their burgers, so they can set the price to basically however they want. And they have an infinite supply because they have millions of farms all over the place, and they're just chopping up cows left and right, and you know you want that cheeseburger. You're the demand, Chet.
Now, from what I understand about supply and demand, as the money goes up and they charge more for their burgers because they're creating so many, this demand actually goes down because no one's going to drop $3 for a little cheap-ass McDonald's burger. So when people stop buying their burgers, the supply is going to go down because McDonald's like, oh, well, we're not selling any burgers. So they're going to lower the price and lower the supply. And then here we are again at base A, and the demand goes back up to buy these little 65-cent burgers, and it's just an endless loop. And that is the true glory of supply and demand in the United States economy and all economies around the world. Do you agree with that?
I agree. I believe that they're always just trying to find that equilibrium price between the perfect hamburger and the golden arches.
Welcome back to the State of the Economy podcast. I'm Chet Manley, and here we are with Dr. Seymour yet again. Now, Seymour, you said you wanted to hit GDP and hit it hard. Would you like to expand on that now?
I'd love to expand on that, Chet. Today's GDP is growing exponentially, and yes, it is adjusted for inflation. Not only is the GDP on a rise, but nominal GDP is also starting to take a turn for the better. In fact, GDP growth rate averaged 3.27% from 1947. Don't you hot damn it yet. You just wait until 2014. Hot damn.
Hot damn.
If you look at these charts.
Cameraman, if you'd like to zoom in on this, you can see that the graph is in fact on a rise. It's lower here, and then it gets bigger as it goes this way, as the years goes on. You don't gotta worry about this little bugger right here. He wasn't important. 2014 kind of sucked. But as it goes on, it gets higher, and the GDP is in fact on a rise. Now, Seymour, I just find that so impressive that we as a country, and people tend to look at the United States, especially us citizens, and say, man, things really suck. Here at the United States, our economy is just really falling apart. But if you look at it, since 2012, at the beginning of this graph, to now, we have grown amazingly. We have, as a nation, improved our economy in such ways that I find it quite impressive. Don't you, Seymour?
I would have to say so, Chet.
Welcome back to the State of the Economy podcast. Here I am again with Dr. Seymour Cox. And Doctor, you said that you really wanted to hit when you came on this podcast today, unemployment. And we haven't talked about that yet. Would you like to now?
Well, Chet, I'd love to talk about unemployment, but our issues with the insufficient aggregate demand in this country. While one might want to blame the structural force of the market, no, I truly want to put the blame on the lack of aggregate demand, starting with the people. People practicing saving is just ironic. That's really what is bringing us down as a country, and there's very little money being driven back into the economy.
Seymour, I see what you're saying, what you mean, but I don't think you can blame that all on lack of government spending and fiscal policy. Unemployment, I personally feel, is a structural issue. Moving on, aggregate supply. Recent survey done by the Federal Reserve puts us several points lower than where we were forecasted to be back in 2001. Seymour, what do you have to comment on that?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Chet. Really, I am. Since 2001, the economy has been in a recession, as I'm hoping you know, and actually has been on an uprise, and we're seeing record lows of inflation and what was that again? Oh yeah, unemployment.
All right, Seymour. Well, this is all the time we have. See you back in a couple minutes here on the State of the Economy address. Welcome back to the State of the Economy podcast. Here I am in my room with Dr. Dover.
Please, just call me Ben.
All right. So you said earlier that you wanted to talk to us about bonds and their effect on the U.S. economy. Would you like to exemplify on that?
That's right. The bond yield rate has actually rallied earlier this week to be one of the highest we've seen in years. Even though it fell as the week went on, that's still putting more money in the pocket of consumers because they're going to make more money per investment, which will make hopefully stimulate the economy by giving them more money.
So, as the government buys and sells their own bonds, what does that do to the United States dollar? What does that do to our economy?
Well, in this case, with the government buying bonds from the consumers, this will put more money in the pockets of the consumers, which will allow them to go spend it on businesses or the economy in general.
Now, what would you say about the rise of the value of the dollar? Do you have anything to describe that?
Well, since inflation is going down in the United States, the value of the dollar is on the rise. It's had the fastest rise in years, actually. Some experts believe that the dollar may soon equal the euro in value, which has never before happened.
So what does that do to domestic prices? If I were to go out and buy a Big Mac cheeseburger, what would that mean for the price of the cheeseburger?
Right, that will lower domestic prices because the dollar is becoming worth more, so your dollar will get you more and more goods.
So what would that do to the foreign demand? Now, let's say I own a business here in the United States that exports products to larger corporations in Asia, in China, Japan, that such area. Now, as demand increases for my product in those foreign economies, what would that mean for the supply of the United States dollar here at home?
Well, the supply of the United States dollar would increase since more countries across the globe are wanting our products. And to obtain our products, they would need to get United States dollars to pay for them, so the supply would go up.
That's all the time we have at the moment. Stay right with us. We're going to cut to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back here in Dominic's room for more State of the Economy podcast. Yeah, good stuff. Oh, didn't see you there. Wanna know how we got this pumped?
Steroids?
No. Protein pods. The prepackaged protein guaranteed to pump you up.
Except for you, Kevin. No one loves you.
Welcome back to the State of the Economy podcast. I'm Chet Manley, and here we are back again in my bedroom. Here, Dr. Dover, Mr. Bendy, what would you like to say about the inflation of the U.S. dollar in the United States economy?
Well, the inflation in the United States is actually at a low. This is the lowest it's been in 10 years. It's sitting at negative 0.1%.
Well, are you telling me that, what does this mean for the dollar? Is it actually becoming worth more?
That's right, the dollar is increasing in value, and this is the first time it's done that since, in 10 years.
Well, butter me up and call me biscuits. What do you have to say about the unemployment in the United States? With inflation decreasing, what does that mean for unemployment?
Well, unemployment is going down in the United States. Just in the recent months, it's dropped 0.1 of a point. But in the long run, in a 6-year span, the average is 5.83% unemployment. We're currently at 5.4%.
So what does that compare to the history of unemployment in the United States, as far back as you remember?
Well, that's a lot lower. That's a lot lower than the average unemployment rate in the United States.
So that actually makes it seem like we're not that bad off right now.